All right, I would like to welcome everyone to the regular Board of Education meeting, and today is Monday, November 25th. And I would like us to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Beth, would you be willing to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, we have a couple of neat things that we are going to recognize. And the first one will be for one of our departing board members, Katrina Fitzgerald. And it is not usually a loss for words, my friend, but thank you so much for your incredible work that you have done on the board and for the district. And I know that I don't want to speak for everyone because I just want to speak for myself, but just to say that your leadership and your dedication to the district and the children is just amazing. So I believe that we should have things that are beautiful to match you, and so these flowers are for you, and so I would like to make sure you do that. And I would like to give that for you since you worked so hard on doing that. So I'm just going to walk over behind everyone. And this actually was thought of by one of your board members, Rita, in her observation of how you do what you do when you go to meetings and stuff like that. So we ask that you use that and think about us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, other exciting things that we have is that I believe in the back we have the Fitch marching band. And so I don't know if Mr. Lefebvre, if you wanted to kind of talk about the season and maybe bring up your, yay, look at you guys, amazing.
They're all so tall.
I can introduce, they're really nervous.
Oh,
So I can introduce. This is Abby Rogers, one of the drum majors, Arizona Johnson, one of the drum majors. Bill Brass, section leader, Mason Murphy, and David Lively, drumline section leader. Jason Spain, who's one of our staff members.
yay, yay.
So,
Thank you. So if you could just talk a little bit about your season and where you got?
So we began our competitive season at the end of September, going to locally hosted competitions, and then we moved on to New England State Championships, which we won, and then finally we had nationals in the middle of November, which we took 4th place in, and we got the Cadet Award.
That is amazing. 4th place in nationals. Wow. Wow. So my exciting thing is that I was up at Fitch High School when you guys were marching. And so there was lots of people who were FaceTiming. So I actually got to see you guys live when you were at the Met Stadium, and it was it was hard to hear, but I was like, I know them, yay! So it was just really, and I just was so appreciative of someone being willing to kind of share that with me and share that experience. Nice job, guys. I don't know if anyone else on the board.
I'm wondering how many schools participate? How many bands were in New Jersey?
you want to answer? You want me to answer?
Well, for our own class 3 open, there were 8 bands, but overall,
60,
65?
65?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Representing a lot of parts of the
It
country?
pretty much goes all the way down the eastern seaboard. So once you get to like the Midwest, they kind of have their own branch off Texas, but you
Right,
get up all
I
the way
see.
down, into
Yeah.
Virginia and stuff like that, all the way down. It's all the way along the coast.
I got to see you twice. Once with the with the bands, and then I got to see you at a football game. So I got a chance to see how different it looked at night. They were both amazing, but I think that whoever's idea it was to do Edison was brilliant.
Yes.
I really do.
It was brilliant. It really was, in many ways.
Yeah, that's
Yes. Oh, I never thought about that.
And actually, there's a new autobiography biography that just came out on Edison,
Oh, is it?
and I was
The
actually
movie's out,
thinking
too.
about you guys. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is, the season, at least here locally, was disrupted because of your practice times. And I was wondering maybe if the students could talk about that, because that must have been a pain in the neck. Because of the triple E virus threat.
Right, yeah, so that definitely put us back. So people who are in sports, like me, I play volleyball, so I missed a lot of my volleyball practicing time because band got moved from nighttime earlier, which was difficult. So yeah, that was definitely, we had to adapt to that, and I also, we had trouble with weather throughout the whole season too, so there were a lot of setbacks, but we made the best of it.
Really
Would any
remarkable.
other students want to speak? Hello?
You guys have any other questions that they can?
Yeah.
I think like another major theme with the triple E virus was the transitions of practices going like straight after school. Because usually, you know, we would get prepared, we would go home, you know, get our music out, practice, but then, you know, with the triple E virus, it forced us to go, you know, straight into marching like after school, even with your sectionals. So you would have to be more prepared and warmed up, even after like maybe you had a slow day at school or a fast day. You know, everybody is depending on each other.
Yeah.
So
I would be interested in, so you got on a bus, you drove to Jersey. Was there interaction with other students? Did they have some activities there, or was it purely the competition?
that's a good question. I think for some kids, it was definitely the mentality of performance mode. We were definitely like on the bus going to MetLife during nationals. Like our mentality was to basically project and, you know, perform the show about Thomas Edison, and then afterwards was kind of just like watching all the other kids and all the other schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Do you spend the evening or do you come right back on the bus?
We for nationals we spent the evening there. We got to watch a couple other amazing schools. It was really cool. I mean, to see like what other, you know, high schools, again, like to see like how dedicated other high schools are to like marching band. It's really great.
It's wonderful.
Not too shabby to have a police escort when you
Yes,
won New
that
England,
was
huh?
very cool. It was.
That was kind of cool.
It was.
What was your favorite competition all year?
I believe, in my opinion, as a senior, the MetLife Stadium at Nationals was. I remember going in, you know, freshman, sophomore, junior year, and after MetLife, I was kind of like, I don't know. It wasn't.
You went all 4 years?
I did go all.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the band has been for 4 straight years to the
Yeah.
Nationals?
hmm
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, and I even told Mr. Lefebvre, like, this last performance, I was like the first time I felt really satisfied with like what we just performed and what we just projected. And a lot of other kids felt the same way. It was that, in my opinion, was probably the best.
That's
Yay.
fabulous.
How many students will continue in next year? Either
That-
the band or?
That's a good question.
You mean how many like stick with it year after year?
Well, no, after they're a senior, when they graduate, do they do this in college or whatever they're planning on doing
I think
next in their life?
Let's see, who are the two seniors? I think it depends, I'm gonna say first where they go, but I can tell you, like,
Yeah.
we have some in the Yukon marching band, we have kids in other school, you know, that we'll actually see at some locations, but I don't know if you guys wanna speak on that, or what your plans are, I don't know if you guys know what your plans are.
Yeah, I'm still figuring everything out,
Yeah.
but I definitely want to continue music in college. I'm not going to major in it, but I definitely like to join if my school has a marching band or a jazz band. Definitely keep music going through my life.
That's great.
Yeah.
What are your plans? The same?
Yeah.
These guys are back next year for more, these guys are back
Yeah.
next year for more.
Oh, so we have juniors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
two-
So how many graduating seniors do we have?
18.
18.
It's a big hit.
It's a big group, yeah.
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 So more to,
Young group next year, but that's okay.
that's all
It's
right.
okay.
That's all
So
right.
how many kids do we have on the team, on the roster?
Total in the group this year was 60,
16, lose 18, that's ouchie,
yeah.
sorry.
If the
Words.
sophomore class is larger, the sophomore class is in the 20s. So it's a couple big, it goes like, it's really interesting. Sometimes you get this huge influx of kids,
Yeah.
and then another year it's a little bit smaller, so it kind of goes up and down, but it ends up balancing out a little bit in the end, so.
Excellent.
Well, once again, thank you for, as always, making us Groton proud. I mean, you guys just rocked. It was fun to watch you. I like Lee, got to see you 3 times, and it was just, you guys are wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
really are.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Cindy.
luck. Nice way to start the week.
Yes, it is.
All right. So the next portion of our agenda is comments from citizens, and that we will take these that lie within the jurisdiction of the Board of Education. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentation should be related to matters pertinent to Groton, and board members will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and cannot respond during the comments from citizen portion of the board meeting. Citizens should make their presentation from the podium and state their names and addresses for the record. Ms. Jones, did we have anyone that signed up? All right. Do we have anyone that is interested? Excuse me. Point of order.
Portia Bordelon, 159 Shenecosset Parkway. For full disclosure, RMA town councilor in the town of Groton. I also have two children in the schools. I'm speaking not on behalf as a town councilor today, I'm speaking on behalf as a citizen, and the concerns or things that I would like to bring up. First, I'd like to start off by thanking Katrina for her service, and thank you so much for the time that you spent on the Board of Ed and giving back to the town, and I will miss your diligent work on the budget. So thank you again. And also thanks to the Fitch Marching Band. It's excellent to see how well our band is doing in this town, so it's a wonderful thing to see. One of the things that was brought up at the RTM meeting, at the last RTM meeting, and has been brought up before, the air quality report. I know at some of your Board of Ed meetings you guys have stated that the report was out and that you were making efforts to address some of those issues internally first, like changing the thermostats and things like that, but it has not yet been published. So we'd like to see that air quality report for full disclosure to be able to see what's really going on there and what still needs to be done. Another thing that I would like to consider, again, I know at some points we talked about the fees of the costs for attending school events. I know right now I think it's $5 for adults and $3, or I believe for students, or $2 depending on the event. I'd like the Board of Ed to consider again readdressing that and looking, possibly making referral if you choose to. Once again, not pressuring, just making a recommendation to consider looking at the fees for students. I feel to fully have proper attendance at these school events, charging students to attend their own school building to watch their friends or peers play in a sport in which they actually attend does not give the student the proper ability to have the full school spirit, especially if they have to pay the cost and they might not be able to afford it. I know looking at West Side, they are a Title I school. Looking at Claudechester, another Title I school. Catherine Kolnowski, another Title I school. That's 3 in the district that I know of. Fitch feeds in, all those other schools feed into Fitch, which I'm sure there's a high level of Title I students there that aren't receiving the free lunch for the district, but the need is there, and that expense is more than their reduced price for their school lunch. In 1 week, my own child has attended from a wrestling match to a basketball game to the girls' event. I mean, easily spending $10 to $15 to $20. As I can afford to do that, others may not be able to. As I attend some of these school events, sometimes they're not heavily attended, and I think there would be more school spirit if students didn't have to pay. So I think that that should just be looked at and configured in a way. Maybe there's possibility of a grant to help fund that portion to allow students to be able to attend and not feel the pressure of the cost. I'm also looking at some of the repairs again. I did send an email. I did not put all Board of Ed members on the email that I had sent. I did include the superintendent and assistant superintendent. I have concerns at Fitch High School. I was there again for an event, and I sent you actually a picture. And once again, I was going to address the current principal, but for full disclosure, he's new, and this issue was looking like this prior to his coming on to staff. Actually, it's been looking like this for about a year. Cardboard with duct tape in the women's room by the gym. on the old section of the building. That's a heavily used bathroom for events. I've been going in there from wrestling meets to basketball games throughout the year to going in for voting. I do not think an effective way to repair something is with cardboard and duct tape, and that's not the message that I want to get out to our district, that we can't do that and repair that appropriately. And I'm concerned from a health standpoint, because that's a porous surface, and working in the medical field, that should never be used in a restroom. Westside Middle School, someone approached me, didn't want to be on the record, so that's what my job is to advocate for them, had stated that they were concerned about the Westside soccer field not being properly serviced when it needed to be, and they also had addressed the principal. I also had asked about this, and they were concerned that the principals were out there in their suits dumping things on, trying to get the field ready for soccer events. It's just overlooked and underserviced. Once again, moving forward as we build all these wonderful, great buildings, it's exciting, it's awesome, and it's a wonderful thing to have in our district, but we do have some sections of the building that need care and concern. I know we're on a tight budget, but I just appreciate making sure that we're using proper materials and not expecting principals to, keep up with the maintenance of the fields. Once again, I addressed the principal. He said, he didn't really comment too much on it, probably. It's kind of hard to comment probably if you're an employee, but anyway, I did.
You have less than a minute.
So thank you again, and I hope that you can take some of these things in concern. If you did not receive the email with the picture, it was sent. I hope that you guys can see that. With all due respect, I understand that the Board of Ed does not get a chance to be in all the buildings all the time, and I'm not sure what information you're given, but maybe it's time that we look. Maybe it's time that we look at having a building committee, where people are actually touring them on a regular basis and looking at things of concern, checking the restrooms, checking the fields, peeling paint and what have you in the buildings. That would be a great way to actively know what's going on. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would? So response for me is, can we actually have someone look into the bathroom of that small gym?
Sure.
And have that, and I will make sure that I was placed, Portia, I just found the email today, and so, or this afternoon, I'm not quite sure when you sent it, and I will make sure that the rest of the board members will I will CC you guys for that, so that you can have that. But if that could be looked into, and then if that could be reported back to the board, that would be great. The concern about the air quality report, is it on the website? Has it been done? Where are we?
It's not on the website, but it is included in the CIP, the entire report is.
Okay.
In our CIP, but we could put the
Okay,
report
so,
out.
so the town council will be getting that and the RTM eventually.
That's right.
Okay, so that will be given to you because it's in our CIP thing? Sure,
I was looking for more of a public notification.
that's what I thought.
And parents can see that, not just town council or RTM.
I get that. I do know that we had a referral last year about the school events for the fee for $5. And so I guess we can, if people have a wish to have a conversation again about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rita, you were saying yes?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have a referral back.
I thought Mr. Romano was supposed to be coming to one of our meetings and talking about this and telling us what are the fees that are collected, where they go, what are they used for?
That happened
did.
in a board, I don't know if, I don't think.
He didn't come, though.
No, but I think it was in I think it was in board notes and,
Right.
and it was talked about in terms of where the board fees are. But if you guys are wanting a referral again, I will put it back on.
I mean, I really feel that the students shouldn't be paying to attend high school events. That's just my feeling.
Okay, so we need to have another conversation about that, and what that means in terms of what then does not get serviced or get paid for by student fees. All right, and the soccer field, once again, can we have a update on
Sure.
on that? That would be great. Thank you. All right, hearing no one else, the student representative report. Zay, it looks like you stand alone.
Yes. Hello? Okay. I actually have quite a bit today. Do you mind if recently our principal has asked me and Addie, my name's Zay, Xavion Keto, if I have to say that, He has asked us if we would like to introduce all of the schools in our district at our board meetings. Would you guys mind if I did that? Updates about all the schools in our district?
You know what?
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Let's
All
see,
right.
let's see how that happens.
Okay, so updates from Fitch. Updates from our last meeting is that we have been preparing for the 8th grade visit. That is tomorrow, Tuesday, November 26th. For class council updates, as of all grades don't really have an update as of today because there's only 2 days this week of school, and everybody is getting swamped with work before the holidays. More Than Words will be hosting a lesson on discrimination and colorism at the professional development on December 3rd. The purpose of the meeting is to educate the teachers about what resources are available, how to identify and address situations involving colorism, understanding how certain derogatory terms make some students feel, and to determine what the teachers need from us. Renaissance went on a student leadership field trip on November 13th to the Morgan High School as part of the Connecticut Coastal Collaborative, which focuses on connecting Renaissance schools in the area as students can learn from each other and bring back ideas to our community. They are participating in the activities fair for the 8th graders and are having them write thank you cards to bring back to their schools and families. Start with Hello Week was moved to December, and the agenda for the activities will be sent out shortly. Now, other schools in our district. Catherine Kanowski held its 11th annual fun run for K through 5th students in Groton. They had about 100 runners representing 5 elementary schools, and several Navy volunteers came to support our students. They had beautiful weather and a great event. It also held its annual Veterans Day breakfast and assembly on November 9th. Catherine Kanowski's staff provided breakfast to 80 veterans and family members. Breakfast was followed by an assembly honoring our veterans and our students with family members who are currently serving. Northeast Academy, as a part of their Journey to Success program, their focus this month is cooperation and loyalty. They continue to strive for helping students build personal qualities and characteristics needed to be successful in today's world. This week at Northeast Academy was Multicultural Week. On Wednesday night, PTO held their annual multicultural potluck dinner. There was over 150 people in attendance. On Friday, they hosted Odeco New England, a premier Toco group, I believe that's how you pronounce that.
The drums.
Yes, who perform a drumming demonstration weaving the cultures of Japan and the United States into their work. Claude Chester held a Veterans Day celebration. The band and chorus led the school in patriotic songs. Grade 5 peer leaders provided information about why they honor veterans. The assembly was a good way to jumpstart a whole school wellness day. Students rotated to different stations such as karate, dental hygienist, Officer McClellan with therapy dog McDonald, smoothies for food camp, and they ended the day making thank you cards for veterans. Claude Chester will provide breakfast bags to students who signed up over the Thanksgiving break. This is the 3rd year that Claude Chester has been able to support families. They started a partnership with Grosso Tech's National Honor Society. Grosso students went over and played math games and read with small groups of students. They will plan additional time to go back to Claude Chester throughout this year. SB Butler had an author, Joseph Bruchak, I believe that's how you say his name, and his son Jesse visited earlier this month. He has written over 150 children's books and is a member of the Native American community. He shared stories and music from the Abenaki tribe. The students really enjoyed the music and stories that he shared. Students at Butler are also looking to grow their superpowers. This is a building initiative showcasing the superpowers of fun, love, compassion, gratitude, authenticity, creativity, humor, courage, simplicity, and openness. At Barnum held a Veterans Day assembly that was attended by more than 50 uniformed military personnel who are family members of Charles Barnum students, and Commander Master Chief Raj Shadi spoke to the student body. They had student speakers, and both the 4th and 5th grade bands performed. Enrichment opportunities are being held at Barnum this fall. Students can participate in morning lacrosse, hiking club, and garden club. Staff members have participated in an optional book club and have yoga sessions with HR's Christina Adams. Mary Morrison. It was a big month at Mary Morrison as we celebrated both Mary Morrison's birthday and 100 years of votes for women. Our namesake, Mary Morrison, was an active supporter of education and women's suffrage and has been nominated by the Mary Morrison staff to the Connecticut Women's Hall of Fame. They planned an assembly for grades 3 through 5, as well as a student parade that ended with cupcakes for all and a gathering in the gym. As part of their learning, voting booths were set up on election day to help their students experience the importance of everyone having the right to vote. Mary Morrison celebrated Veterans Day at a special luncheon for about 100 veterans from our families, followed by an assembly where chorus performed patriotic songs, along with a presentation by the Silver Dolphins Precision Rifle Drill Team. Last school. West Side, on Friday, November 8th, West Side held its annual Veterans Day ceremony, welcoming over 50 veterans and active duty members. One half of grade 8 visited the Pequot Museum on November 6th, and the remaining half will visit on November 22nd. The Young Manufacturers Academy, located in Hartford, has been visiting our grade 8 students for the last month. Students participate in hands-on activities related to engineering and manufacturing with a culminating visit from the Goodwin Mobile Manufacturing Lab. Students will be attending an evening field trip to the Connecticut Science Center on November 14th. The school is busy planning for National Computer Science Week, which begins December 9th through 13th. There will be a family coding event during the evening on December 12th, and all students will participate in the Hour of Code Challenge on Friday, December 13th. The Sub-Underwater Robotics Club has begun to meet after school. Students will build submersible robots and compete in local events. They received a grant from the GEF to fund a first LEGO League team. They will be competing in local events in the near future. And students also have the opportunity to explore robotics and coding in our non-competitive robotics and coding club.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a mouthful.
Very busy.
So board, do you like hearing about all the different schools?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. And it was wonderful. Thank you so much for taking sort of lead on that. That was nice.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? All right, we're going to move on. Yoo-hoo! You can take a break.
We may need a copy of it.
All right. So we're now on to superintendent and administration reports. That would be you.
Well, I want to introduce Rick Norris and Jack Butkus because they are going to orient us to the approval process for the design plans for the 2 new elementary schools. We will be, Jack, Rick, and I, and a few others, Sam, will be going to the Department of Administrative Services on the 9th of December. So we've got some work to do in terms of the plans, but I'll let Jack orient us a little bit.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening. As Dr. Grenier mentioned, we'll be returning to you shortly for the approval of the construction documents for Cutler and West Side. We're aiming at your December 9th agenda for that final approval. The building committee will have had the opportunity to give their sign-off the preceding Thursday on the 5th. So right now, the documents have been in review by our outside code reviewer. There is a structural review going on because they're considered threshold buildings under the building code. They have to have somebody other than the structural engineer of record double-check their work. So those reports are coming in, and any necessary adjustments are being made to the documents presently. That's why we didn't have them to add to tonight's agenda. But rather than ask for a special meeting between now and the 9th, we got permission from the state to come in a day late on the first one, because we're meeting back-to-back on the 9th and the 10th, 1 school per day. So we'll come in with those documents for your approval on that Monday night, and then on Tuesday, when we do the second of the schools, we'll turn both sets of approvals in. At that time, the state reviewer will look over all the documentation, not only the construction documents, but various letters and certifications that we have to provide. And after a short review period, we hope short review period, will provide us with a letter of authorization to go out to bid. Our intent is to package the schools to be on the street at the same time and bid both of them. There is a potential that we could end up with, call it package pricing. If a contractor provides bids on both schools, there's an opportunity to perhaps charge us less if they get awarded both schools than if they just got awarded one. That's something we're investigating with the construction managers to see if there might be some price advantage, you know, in that circumstance. But overall, the design has been proceeding along the lines of what was presented to you previously. There have been no adjustments to the documents that have changed anything that impacts program. We are doing some cost control adjustments, you know, value management adjustments on some materials and the approach to how the building will run. That is not, again, not going to change the layout that you've seen in the past or affect the educational program. It's a matter of, you know, changing some materials to get best value and things like that. And Sam has been consulted as these decisions have been put forward for consideration. So we got some input from the building committee last week on the things that were and were not acceptable as adjustments in order to manage the cost. At this point, with those cost control measures implemented, we believe that we are comfortably within our budget, comfortable enough to hit the street for the numbers that really matter, which come from the bidders themselves. Right now, the likely bid period will be immediately after the new year, because we know that realistically, even if we do get the approval that same week of our plan reviews, not much is going to happen over the Christmas to New Year period. So we'll hit the ground running right after the new year. We anticipate that we will break ground in April-ish. Perhaps if we have a mild winter, we might be able to mobilize some things in March. But similar to the approach with the middle school, as soon as the ground is workable, we intend to be out there. As discussed previously, there will be some overlap between construction and the existing middle school operations that will last through the period through June, at which time we'll move the curriculum and small amounts of existing materials over to the new middle school, which itself is on schedule and on budget. And we don't see any impediments there to being able to make the transition and then fully release the sites at Westside and Cutler to the construction manager. The intent is to start the new building at the farthest point from the existing buildings and then move toward the existing building and then both keep the noise and disturbance as far away from the ongoing operations as we can and not get in the contractor's way by having buildings still in operation. And right now, we don't see there being any need to disrupt any of the existing facilities, whether it be the portables, whether it be any of the the permanent buildings themselves, as far as providing access to the site for the construction crews. There obviously will be some impact to the sites in general, whether it be the sports fields, whether it be the parking lots, and as you've heard in the past, Rick has been pursuing the opportunity with Pfizer for some off-site parking for West Side. Should we need more than the dozen or so spaces we know will take immediately. If we're fortunate enough to be working that well in the spring that we would need to displace additional parking in order to give the contractors room to continue building, then that off-site parking would come into play in greater percentage. But overall, we are on track. We are comfortable that we're meeting the expectations of the ed specs, both in content and in intent. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Rita?
My question has to do with if there are any cost savings, could you please put that towards sustainability and possibly solar panels? I know there is a town committee working on it.
I got a guy. Let me ask
the way the solar panel operation works is we've been talking with the Green Bank. The money from the project could, but probably will not be used for solar panels. The Green Bank has a program. It's a municipal assistance program. It's sort of new, where they actually end up owning the panels, if you will, and operating them, and basically the Board of Ed at this particular time would pay the cost of electricity, and potentially some of the distribution costs if you have to feed back into the grid, if you will. So that's proceeding as a separate project. The Permanent School Building Committee has sent a letter to the council to that effect. and I'll be preparing a referral for the council and trying to move that process forward. They being the Green Bank have asked for some structural drawings, if you will, for one of the elementary schools, Cutler, and the middle school, which are in the Eversource area. West Side is a little more problematic because Groton Utilities doesn't have the same program, if you will, so I'm trying to figure out how to do that so we end up with everything. The Green Bank has also asked about the potential of looking at the high school for solar panels. So my feeling is if we can get these folks on board and we're happy with the program, then we can potentially expand it to other places.
That's great.
That'd be wonderful.
That's what I know about solar panels right now.
Thank you. Thank you. So, go ahead, Gretchen.
My big concern with the solar panels is, is there potential for them, I love the solar panel idea. I'm just concerned about them becoming the asbestos of 2040.
I can't answer that question, or I don't think anybody else can at this point. Will PVC become the asbestos of 2050? I can't answer that question either.
Because I know, if they get hit by something and they leak, I just want to
Well,
make
typically it's a 20-year contract, if you will. I mean, by 20 years now, I think the panels will become more efficient so that you may need to be replaced before that time because they probably provide a lot more energy. But as far as the downstream environmental, it's just like electric cars. What's the downstream environmental? We don't know at this point. We can only foresee a little bit.
That's a good question.
I had a question. Rick, could you tell us, on the meeting on December 9th, what exactly would the board be asked? Is it to approve the project manual, final plans, and cost estimates?
Yes, that's correct. There's a document called the SCG 42 that requires the signature of the Permanent School Building Committee, the chair of the Board of Education, and yourself.
Okay.
That is a request for review of the plans, plan conformance review is what it's called. And by the review of those plans and the stamping and accepting of all the documents by the state, then after that review, they would give us permission to go out to bid.
Okay.
So that's a big, really a huge step, and that's the next huge step we have to take.
And you were saying that the Permanent School Building Committee would, prior to the 9th, have really gone over this with a fine-tooth comb.
Right, that's correct. As Jack said, we have outside reviewers, code reviewers, and others that are looking at the building. Those comments are also provided to the Permanent School Building Committee, who Jack and I are working with, and as oversight, they look at how we're performing with respect to costs, the plans, and the specifications, and they will have had an opportunity to approve those before they come to you, and then after we receive permission to bid by the state, the Permanent School Building Committee has to certify to the council that it meets all the prerequisites, like the ed specs and those sorts of things. So there'll be a separate letter going out for each school to the council before we can go out to bid the first of the year.
Thanks.
So if you notice, we do have an agenda item number 6, which we will be tabled. We were not clear about when you needed it, so we wanted to put it in there knowing it's easier to kind of table that motion than to kind of bring it to the meeting. So we will not be addressing number 6, and that will be at the December, I was gonna say September. Yeah, well, we are gonna have to anyways for the new council, board.
The swearing in and the election of officers will be that night also.
All right.
And if I may offer
Please.
one comment on the middle school. Things are on budget, on schedule. The construction manager also put the 29th of June on its completion date. I think that's just to irritate some of us that are working with him. But we're also looking at continuing to try and improve what we're able to provide. And one of the things that came to mind to me in the dark of night is, why are we planting seed on the other playing fields that aren't turf? Why don't we use sod, which would be able to turn the fields over in a year instead of 2 years? So we went to the Permanent School Building Committee. They approved that modification, and we're going to look at a pricing on that and move forward with that
Yeah.
change.
Yay.
Yeah, that's.
That is
terrific.
fabulous news. All right, any other questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you guys very much. So moving on to the assistant superintendent.
Okay, so I wanted to just mention that we were able to attend the CAVE CAPS annual conference, and many of you attended. The board received a wonderful award, a level 2 award for their work, so that was really quite an honor. And the conference really had highlighted several strands, they call them: effective collaboration, portrait of the graduate, and diversity, equity, and excellence. And the conference began with an inspirational educational leader, speaker named Dr. Derek Gay. And his work has been around issues of diversity and inclusion and global citizenship, and really promoting empathy, cultivating cultural competency, and deepening our understanding of inclusion and what that means. I went home because, you know, I wanted to see his TED Talk, and actually I thought his CAVE Talk was as impressive as the TED Talk. And I went back to see if that was on it, but I definitely will send you the link. He's been on NPR. He's a graduate of Columbia University and University of Pennsylvania. And he was just an eloquent speaker and very engaging, and really talked about the word diversity and the different meanings that people bring to that, and what really needs to happen around us understanding biases, whether there are known biases or we're not really recognizing them. So it was a terrific speech. I always get so much from the networking component, and I think as you do as well. And I was able to attend some additional workshops around the idea of diversity and inclusion, and things like chronic absenteeism, which we have to monitor. So things that really pertained to our district. So I don't know if any of you wanted to mention anything in particular that stood out.
Rosemary?
I found Dr. Gay's talk to be just incredible, and I loved his definition of diversity, that everybody brings their diversity. And he was mentioned at a workshop I went to at Yale on unconscious bias because of his work. So he's very eloquent.
I was able to go to the one on Saturday on Alliance Schools, and I learned a lot, especially when it comes to budget and losing any money on budgets. So it was great. I know that you wanted to go too, but you know, there were so many things that we wanted to go to that it got to the point where, you know, we had a lot. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people there.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we really tried to split up, and then we came back
Yes.
and
Cool.
talked.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I was saying, you were there on Saturday,
Yes,
correct?
on Saturday.
Yes, I was. Hello? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was actually very inspired. It was great to see all the other student reps that were attending, that had attended. We're actually all keeping in touch to see what we're all doing at our schools and seeing how their Board of Ed is doing, and so we can get more ideas from them and we can share our ideas from us.
And I think that you told me also that when you did a poll about how active the other student reps were on the other boards of eds, is that you were, because like you've only known this.
Yes. Yeah, I've realized that our Board of Ed is actually really active from the student's point of view. And I was very interested in that because I thought it was always like this, but it's really not. It just depends on how you guys feel. But I do like how you incorporate the student's point of view into most of your decisions.
And I think the others also appreciated that, right? There were other, student reps who said, boy, that's pretty terrific that you're able to participate like that.
Yes.
There is an organization, and I think I mentioned this last year, there is an organization of students that are not part of CAVE, but I would like us to be a member of that.
So sort of like a
I can't
student
remember what it's-
representative,
It is, it's something like
I think
that.
Zay was mentioning that.
But I want us to be part of that because I think that in the 4 years that I've been here, our student representatives have been amazing.
Yeah.
And they deserve the right to be recognized on the Saturday morning thing. So I would like us to be part of that organization for our kids.
I'll talk to them. Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
This young man is applying to become part of the State Student Board of Education.
Yes.
As a student rep.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I've been looking at my application and asking people for recommendations for the past week.
Great.
Yes.
That's super, Zay.
Sure.
Very excited.
Oh, all right. Yes, Katrina.
Yeah, I went to town of Vernon has slowly been working on shared services between the town, the municipal, and the school board. And since I was interested in that, because there had been some movement in that direction a couple of years ago, but I got some really good information that I asked to be forwarded to the mayor, Patrice Granatowski, whenever, if they want to pick that up again. It's really interesting stuff.
All right, Sue. Oh, I'm sorry.
Um,
Gretchen, I'm sorry. I thought that was your comment.
Sorry. Oh, well, I was just promoting,
Continue on.
say, I had my own experiences, and one of the workshops I went on was how to involve the community within the school system, and the school within the community, and they had some fabulous, fabulous ideas, and I need to go back and reread my notes on that to be more articulate, and it's more stuff we need to talk about sort of behind the scenes before we present. But there were so many fabulous ideas of ways that the community can help the schools and the schools can help the community, and I loved the synchronicity of the entire thing. Probably the most dramatic event, and what I got the most out of was it Canton? Somebody help me, the school system, Canton? Canton had an African drum circle, and they came up and they performed, and watching those young people, they're sitting like we are in a semicircle, and they have the head drummer and the guy on the bell, and there's so much more that you missed because you didn't go to their little workshop afterwards, but you could see the kids communicating with each other, their eyes, their hands, keeping a rhythm, they got lost, they could pick up. And then I went and decided to step about as far out of my own personal comfort zone as I can get, and I went to the workshop.
Good for you.
The kids were amazingly astute at seeing how incredibly nervous these adults were. They were so patient. They were so kind. I couldn't believe that these kids who'd not been trained to teach, but they were able to realize that this dyslexic adult could not go right, left, right, but had to go 1, 2, 2, 3, 1. They were just fabulous. They were so articulate. I was just very, very impressed by them, and it was just very meaningful to me. I hope they come back next year.
Thank you.
Or we could start something like that. The drums are really cool. They're made in Africa.
Cool. All right.
Okay, to the next person. Thank you.
All right.
And as a follow-up to our discussion at the COW about elementary report cards, I just wanted to say that grades ended on the 22nd, which was Friday, and within about 10 days, we have to really send them out, so by December 13th, we'll be sending report cards home. There have been revisions, some of the language has been tweaked, but really the report card looks very much the same. We can even show a model like on the website for parents to see. It's all been redacted. But it's really a 2-page back-to-back, the first trimester. It's still based on the Connecticut core standards. We've tried to make the, fine-tune the language so parents would really understand it better. It's still, just like the previous report cards, shows end year standards, but we've benchmarked them each trimester so you can see the child's growth over time. And the scoring is the same. We use a 1, 2, 3, 4 scoring, which starts from needing more time to progressing toward standard to meeting the standard and exceeding the standard. So it really won't look that much different. I think the big news for our district is our elementary parents will finally have, and already do have, their Power School code. So they'll like the middle school and high school, be able to see the report card there, the attendance, and we can open it up gradually so that they'll also see other pieces of information, which I think they'll really appreciate. The parents who already have children in the middle school and high school probably are welcoming this, and we've given some support at our different meetings and open houses for the parents who are new to this. They can actually see the report card on the phone, but we know that we wanted to take baby steps, so they'll get the back-to-back copy of the report card, and they'll also have the reminder of the directions to get on the website. And then any family that needed a hard copy, it's very easy to print them off, and we send the directions out to the schools, so they'll be printing the first round, and encouraging parents to get on. So that's the biggest difference to these report cards, is that they'll be digital, so they'll be online.
I think, when I was thinking about over the weekend, and if we noticed, the language that we have for the motion is for the pilot, just so, because you're still kind of creating it, so that, I think, for me, that there's an understanding that it's here, and so we want to make sure that the board can say yes to that, but also know that we need to be able to look at that,
Right.
and do a full sort of commitment to the report card later on.
Well,
once-
and I think that I had mentioned that all of our teachers have had input on this and will continue to. So in January, when we have a TLI day, they'll be looking and calibrating trimester 2 and 3. They have a section of notes on a Google document that they're keeping notes and giving feedback. So it's a perfect solution, because we're continually looking at it and seeing if there's gonna be other changes that are gonna be necessary.
So that was the first thing, just to know that that's what the motion's gonna be, is for the pilot, to consider it to be a pilot. And the second thing is that for me, what I was thinking about, is there a way that we can make sure, like the PTOs, or just, because you said that, the report card's gonna reflect sort of what's happening in the school. I mean, it's over the district, and over the year, every child is gonna be exposed to everything, but it can be presented in one school earlier or later than whatever. Is there a way that we could get the parent organization of each one of these schools to kind of be able to help do the advertisement around the new report card? But that was at least my thought.
Well, we could talk to the principals about.
Well, I think that would be
including it.
a really good meeting to have for the PTO, is to kind of review the report card and some of the
Yeah.
differences they may see.
Sure.
They might not even notice the differences because it really looks the same, but to really, I tried to carefully craft my letter so it would say those things, but certainly to have a PTO meeting, I'd be happy to talk to the principals. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it was just a thought.
Yeah.
Just a thought. All right. Any other further questions? All right, moving on to the business manager. Hello, Guy.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and how are you?
Oh, great. So the object code summary, which is attachment number 1, shows that we have a projected unexpended balance of $95,713. We're continuing, as we have for the past few months, of tracking very close to budget. We're tracking payroll very closely, watching our health insurance, which we'll go over the report next. And everything appears to be going along well.
Any questions on the business? Yeah, knock on wood, or whatever this is. Any other questions about the object? Yeah. About the object code? All right.
The health insurance report wasn't in your package because we got this one late. Our agent MDG found an error in the information that they got from Anthem, and so they had to redo both ours and the town's reports. So if you did compare this to previous months, it's a little bit different, but not very much. Actually, the error was more with the town side than ours. But through September, we're at 92% of budget. This compares last year at September, we were at 85.7%, so we're tracking a little bit worse to the budget than we were last year. We did end up last year at 94%, so I still think we should be within budget by the end of the year, but a little tighter than previous.
End of the year, do you mean July or December?
End of the year, July, June 30th.
Okay.
Yep.
Ooh, you don't have a lot of wiggle.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of wiggle room,
It
but.
is a move.
Any other questions besides my oof? All right, moving on to the Director of Building and Grounds. No, Mr. Kilpatrick?
Good evening.
Yes.
Mr. Butkus and Mr. Norris pretty much brought you up to date on most of the 2020 report. But in addition to that, Principal Bass and I met with Arcadis this past week to go over signage, room assignments, and names for the new middle school. So we spent quite a bit of time on that. Arcadis will now present, will give it to the contractor that'll be working on it. They'll go over it, and then we'll get back together in about a week or so and do a final edition of room signage, building signage, all that sort of thing. So that's what we've been working on this week.
And it's impressive to see that building. It is just amazing. Rita?
I had a question about the signage that'll be on Route 1, near the, would it be near the Grasso sign in that area?
That would have been, it will be down there somewhere, but that would have been a question for Mr. Norris. I know that he had an idea as to where it could go, but I don't know what his final decision was going to be.
Okay, but they don't mind that we're putting it and using some of the driveway, correct?
Yeah, have you been up that driveway yet?
Yes.
If you go about a third of the way up on the left-hand side, you can see where our new driveway is cut through. It's,
Okay, okay. I do notice, though, that if you're at Sutton Park, students or staff come flying down that road at like a high rate of speed. I don't know if maybe where our road will cut in our driveway, if there could be a stop sign, because they really come down that hill very quickly.
you mean a stop sign for them coming down the hill?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll talk to Mr. Norris about that, see
Yeah,
whether that's...
I mean, it's at a pretty high rate of speed until they get to the light on Route 1, you know, but if we're
Yeah.
going to be coming down, you know, buses and,
I'm sure that'll have to go through the state because that's
Yes,
you
it's
know,
a state road.
property up there, so.
yeah, but they can, I think, don't they get together, like the police chief and the town manager, don't they have a weekly, like a monthly meeting where they discuss things like that in the town?
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe they could start now.
I'll talk to Mr. Norris and have him
Yeah.
talk to them about that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I didn't understand about the bathroom, the woman's room that is near the gym, where the cardboard is. I couldn't understand exactly what was meant by that. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
I'm not familiar with it, but I'll check into it first thing in the morning.
That's
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the Director of Building and Grounds? Right, then we're going to move on to the committee reports. Policy.
We will have two first readings under new business and continue to work towards it.
Will you be guys doing the 9,000 series, or you just, that's the board policies and procedures?
I don't know if we're doing it right now.
We haven't been listed as doing it. When we first began our work together, probably 6 years ago, we did take a look at it, and I think we even brought it to the COW. So it's definitely one of those policies that would probably be a good one for us to all discuss, because it's really roles and responsibilities of the board, so.
So maybe we
we'd be
can-
happy to take a look at it, but we'll probably still want to come to the whole board.
Yeah, and maybe what
For
we can do
discussion.
is maybe Mike and I can kind of work on the agenda, maybe take like a section of the policy and then make sure that you guys have it and come up with it, and then we can have a 20-minute conversation at the
Yeah.
committee of the whole. That makes
Probably
sense.
good. I would also like to say at this point that our policy is going to be really missing Katrina.
Yeah.
It won't be the same, I don't care who takes your place, it's not going to be the same. Thank you.
We feel that way in finance and facilities.
Yes.
All right, curriculum.
Curriculum did not, we will pick up in January.
Okay, thank you. Finance and facilities?
I did not attend that, but
Oh.
Jane did, so I'm hoping she can.
Oh, good, Jane.
It became an unofficial meeting, we had no quorum, but it was a very helpful meeting. We talked about Northeast Academy moisture problems, and I found that to be very helpful. Also, the discussion went into using current buildings as, instead of trailers during construction. So I'll let Sam jump in to add anything to that.
Yeah, we discussed the possibility of using the portables that are at the two middle schools presently on site for job site trailers during the construction. I still haven't got an answer back from the architects yet as to whether they can fit them on the property for that use. So as soon as I get an answer from that, I'll share it with you.
But the point is, if we could use the trailers this year or next year for a construction trailer, then we would be able to do it at a very minimal cost, if not part of the project. So we'd be able to bump the cost. I think we said it's about $125,000. We'd be able to bump that out a year or two, which would be a nice savings for the town.
Thank you. And you guys have another meeting coming up, I think, next week,
We
too?
do,
Yeah.
we do.
Okay.
Actually, it was great for me. I was so engrossed in listening and learning that I forgot to take notes, even though we had no quorum.
Katrina, did you have?
No.
Okay. Right, so moving on to the Learn.
Oh, Learn, yes. We had a meeting last week, and CABE's general counsel spoke, Patrice McCarthy. She discussed strategies for leadership evaluations for the superintendent, and actually for board also, for our evaluations and how important it is. She discussed a little bit about the opening session and how it's going to be a very short session this year. I think it's February to beginning of June. It's very brief, so
Yeah.
not a lot will get done. That's what she said. We also had a report from the, let's see, what are they called? Bloom Shapiro gave the draft of the annual fiscal report for Learn. And what I really like about that, which we never get to see as a board because we're part of our town, but I really wish that we could take out the part of whatever the town gets back, because I know how long they come and, you know, who are our attorneys? Who are our fiscal officers that go in? Which firm do we pay?
I think we use the Bloom Shapiro.
Bloom Shapiro. Do you also have Nicole that comes in? I mean, she's really very good. But you get this whole report and you see, you know, is there something that is not quite right? You know, well, what it is, have we been cited for anything? And we never get to see that. So I don't know how we could separate ourselves from the town.
We could. There's a portion that they,
That should
usually
just be
it's
for
a
education.
small, yeah, it's a small portion, but yeah, we
I
could.
mean, it goes into
give you that
everything, to our
excerpt,
food
right?
service, to this. I mean, it's so extensive, and I really think it'd be very beneficial if the Board of Education and then the general public could also see a copy of that.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And I'm going to pass along, there's going to be, for the first time, special education tuition rate hikes. Last year, there was no increase in tuition, but this year, 2.5%. Yeah, for outplacement and all the CT magnet schools, also for students at marine science and everywhere. So I'll pass this along, and I thought you could see how it's going to cost us quite a bit more money next year when our students are attending the different schools.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Just went up 2.5.
Yeah, well, this is from Learn charging us, yeah. So, I think that was about it. Oh, yes, and we're also going to be discussing, there really are going to have more collaboration and more shared services for vans going for special education for the different towns. I mean, I really think this transportation piece will help save a lot of the town's money. So I think we're on board with that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, not only that, but there are 4 contiguous towns that Jack Cross is helping us
Yes.
with that have contracts with SDA.
Yes.
So we're actually trying to get all 4 of those.
Yes, I
kind of
believe, yeah.
Go in
it's-
together.
It's
With
Waterford.
a common contract. Waterford,
Yes,
Ledyard,
and then-
New London, and
Yep,
Groton.
and get this common contract, which
Mhm.
is separate from the special education too, but
That's right.
it's another piece, so that would be wonderful.
Thank you for your work on that. Did you mention the board self-eval? Or did I hear that wrong?
Yes, yeah,
If
that
you
we
could-
should have one.
Yeah.
She didn't
They don't
pass
have
one
it.
out, but Cape has one,
Okay.
just like they had the
Yeah.
superintendent one.
Yeah.
It's weak, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I was just wondering if if Learn does have one,
I'll ask.
that would be really great, because then maybe
Yeah.
we could share and do some more due diligence around evaluation of ourselves
Mhm.
as a board. I think that would be good. Thank you, Rita. Board of Ed, Town Council, and RTM liaison, we did not meet in November, nor are we going to meet in December, with a reorganization in January when the new bodies, both for the board, the town, and for RTM, because we can then look and do a structural look at that. The Board of Ed and AGSA and GEA liaison have, we met in October, thank you. I was trying to read your sign, and I wasn't gifted. And our next one's gonna be in January? Okay, fine. I just thought you were waving at me. I was confused. So that will be our next sort of liaison. I can fingers speed.
Do we want to talk a little bit about
Sure.
what went on? I think, to me, one of the main, again, is the problem with substitute teachers and not having enough pairs. So, we're hopefully we'll have some type of a job fair, recruit more substitute teachers and more paras so that our teachers aren't pulled out of classroom to cover other classes. I think that's important. And do you remember anything else that really struck you? That, to me, was really important.
Well, that's an ongoing issue, so
Yes.
the importance is the fact is that we have not been able to resolve that
No.
a lot.
And every single town is having the same problem. So I know at Learn, it's going to be on our next agenda for a roundtable that will discuss the pay scale for paras and see whether or not what everybody else is doing and whether or not we can raise the pay. I mean, you could go to McDonald's now and get $15 an hour, and I know our paras get paid much less than that. So we really need a discussion because those paras are so important for our children's education. To be continued.
Thank you. Moving it to Trails Liaison and Groton Scholarships, I'm gonna lump those two together,
Nothing
Gretchen.
new on Trails at the moment. And Groton Scholarship, they are at that point where they're raising money and preparing for figuring out who gets what.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so moving on to action items, is the consent agenda, where all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion, with points of clarification will be allowed. And so I will take a motion for approval of the regular meeting minutes of October 28th, 2019. Rosemary, can I have a second? Andrea has a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the approval of the meeting minutes October 28th, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion is carried. Have you noticed I was able to do that without making a mistake? So excited. All right, Rosemary, would you please be willing to lead the new business motion number 1?
Motion number 1 is to approve as a first reading of policy P5141.214 sunscreen.
We actually have Denise Doolittle, who has worked with the policy committee, and also Leah Hendricks, who is the nurse that oversees all of our nurses, in giving us advice. And I'll let her take it on.
Sure. So, good evening, everyone. This is a policy that the State Board of Education recently approved and encouraged districts to consider adopting because it does promote healthy protection of children from harmful UV rays for field trips and recess. The intent of the policy is to again, protect students against the sun's rays, and it allows children who are 6 years or older to bring in their own sunscreen, recommended SPF 15 or higher, non-aerosol, lotion sunscreen, and the students would be permitted to apply the sunscreen to themselves. Teachers would not be involved in the application of sunscreen. It would strictly be something that the student would bring in and the student would apply prior to a field trip. And there are other criteria as far as in the policy you'll see there is a form that the parent would sign. A doctor's prescription is not required. This is simply something that a parent may elect to have their child bring to school and apply to school either at recess time or for a field trip or a field day.
Gretchen, this is kind of trying to put it together quickly. 6-year-old's sunscreen, it doesn't always work as well as you would hope. We're going to end up with, can we get in trouble if they're like blotchy application?
Well, teachers aren't required to assist, but they could if they choose. The nurse could assist as well if needed. But the policy does, in terms of the state's guidance, recommend that beginning at 6 years old, children may be permitted to bring sunscreen to school.
Okay, and the other question that brings in is, if the child says to the teacher, please help, then we are into that little fuzzy zone that's
Correct.
existed since I started teaching, which is us touching little people.
Correct.
Even if we don't think of it as being creepy, somebody else might.
Correct. So I think that you touch upon a good point, which is that there has to be communication between the parent and the teacher and the nurse. Part of the parent permission form that's on the last page of the policy provides some bullet points to parents to be sure that they have reviewed the application of the sunscreen with their child, and to the best of their ability, it asks them to just attest to the fact that the child has demonstrated that he or she is capable of applying the sunscreen appropriately, and that they understand that it's not the responsibility of the teacher, and that it only includes non-aerosol sunscreen. So there does need to be a communication and a dialogue between the school and the parent, particularly for students who are 6 or 7 or young, within that age range.
10. I've seen some incredibly bizarre things.
There's also language in the policy in terms of if older students are using the sunscreen inappropriately, the school has the right to say, you know, this isn't working, let's, you know, talk about this and contact the parent if need be.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good question. Andrea?
There's a reference to a school entity here, and it says that the school entity may revoke or restrict the possession of the sunscreen. And it doesn't define, I can guess what a school entity would be, but I looked for the legal definition, and I didn't see regulation. And I wondered what the legal, how does the law define school entity?
Where are you?
I'm on,
Second page.
Page 2, right under,
revocation.
right after number 11 is a revocation thing.
I think that would be a conversation between the teacher and the principal and the parent in terms of whether or not the student was demonstrating on a repeated basis that they were using the sunscreen inappropriately.
No, that's not my question.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Who is the
I
school
have
entity?
trouble hearing you when I'm on TV too. So my question is, and I'm not sure that this is for you, it might be for Dr. Vernier.
Okay.
And that is, how does the law define school entity? I can guess what it means, but I was looking for a legal definition, and neither did I find the regulations, so I don't know if it's defined there or not.
I'm sorry, the legal definition of what?
Entity.
Oh, the school entity. Yeah. I think it would mean,
personnel.
you know,
No, I can
whoever's
guess that.
implementing the policy on behalf of the district.
Maybe if we change the word to school personnel.
That would do. I mean,
Yeah.
In other words, a
That would be
teacher, an
much clearer.
administrator,
Yeah.
even a para sees a kid is not doing it properly.
Rosemary?
The dilemma with that is that it may be a volunteer who's on
somebody else's mother who sees somebody
That's why we're
eating
going
the.
Well, that wouldn't be a school
Or
personnel.
sharing the
Right.
stuff because they're not supposed to
Right.
share also.
You're right.
I think ultimately the decision to revoke the privilege of having the child bring the sunscreen to school would be based on a decision that the administrator would make in conjunction with the teacher and the parent.
I get that, thank you.
Yeah, I don't think, though, that that would have anything to do with a volunteer, because a volunteer wouldn't revoke or restrict.
But might report it and be part of the process. So I think it has to be fairly global,
See, we don't know.
because we
Yeah.
don't know
I
who's
mean,
going to report. It might be the bus
I would think
driver.
school, yeah, well, that'd be a school personnel.
It might, well, yeah.
I think
It would-
school personnel is clearer, it's
Yeah,
more specific.
Personnel is, you know, and you're right, they could report it as school personnel.
One last thing, and that is this is my issue with so much of our policy, is that we're not consistent, that the language is different, and even in the one that I read on live animals, we call it ourselves Groton Public Schools, the district. We have to be consistent in what we do, and this is exactly
I feel
why.
the same
Yeah.
way.
Gretchen? I disagree that a volunteer who is either, say it's a field day and you have that parent doing that activity and you have two little boys or girls or elephants, and they start squirting the liquid sunscreen, that adult may say, thank you very much, I'll put these here and I'll see. So I think or on a field trip, the kids are frequently split up with one or two adults that are not personnel, but may come in contact with sunscreen issues, like they get it into their eyes or any number of fascinating things that young people can do it, or I can do with it.
So your point is what? I just
That
want
we need, the entity, we need to find a way of defining that as something other than a creature on Star Trek.
Well said.
Well, this is the first reading, and so I think, we're a little bit tripped up, and if you guys can think about that before the second reading, that sounds like that would be
Absolutely.
dandy.
Yep.
All right, so I will entertain I will ask for a motion for the acceptance of the first reading of, lost it, policy P5141-214, sunscreen. All those in favor of that?
Do I need a second?
Oh, you gotta get a second. Gretchen?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? That's what I missed. Okay. All those in favor of the motion to approve as first reading of policy P5141-214, sunscreen, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion has carried. Lee, would you please read number 2 motion?
I certainly will.
Thank you.
The motion to approve the proposed, I'm sorry, the wrong one, to approve as a first reading of policy P6163.32, service animals and regulations, for policy B6163.32, service animals.
Can I have a second?
Second.
So this policy is a bit overdue because we have had service animals at the high school for the past several years. It came to the forefront this year because we happen to have 3 service animals at the high school, 1 for an adult and 2 for students. So we did quite a bit of research with the Americans with Disabilities Act to be sure that the policy is in compliance with the ADA, but also to be sure that it satisfies our need to be sure that the animals are have a level of training and meet certain requirements in terms of their ability to be in a building without disrupting the learning environment. So just briefly, the policy applies to service animals, not comfort animals. So a service animal is described by the ADA as either a dog or a miniature horse. No, it sounds a little ridiculous.
Can I have a llama?
We currently have 3 dogs at the high school that are predominantly Labradors. There is language in the policy that does specify if a student was to request a miniature horse, to come in as a trained service animal. There are 4 criteria that need to be met. I'm not sure that a high school classroom would be an appropriate venue for a miniature horse. So, but we would obviously cross that bridge when we come to it, but that is included in the policy. Obviously, predominantly, the service animals that we see and that most schools see are dogs. And we have had very good success with the service animals that are at the high school. There is a process whereby the high school notifies families, meaning parents, students, and staff, when a service animal is going to be present, and really asks them to contact the nurse if there's an allergy that needs to be taken into consideration on the part of the students or the staff. If that happens, there's alternative arrangements that are made for the student and the animal to potentially work in a separate setting or a separate classroom. We would be looking at some schedule changes or alternative plans. The service animals do ride school buses. We have had students care for their needs in terms of having to go to the bathroom during the day and have access to food and water during the day. So it's really been implemented with the 3 dogs at the high school this year quite successfully. We did work with Erin McGuire, the assistant principal at the high school who coordinates student services. She came to the committee, as well as Leah Hendricks and Mr. Knight, to be sure that our liability and insurance carrier is aware that we have the animals at the school. Mrs. Hendricks and Mrs. McGuire weighed in terms of certain medical conditions that require service animals and how things are working at the high school. So all of the parties were comfortable with the policy. We spent quite a bit of time particularly looking at the form that is attached. There is a form that the student and their parent guardian would complete in order to request that a service animal accompany the student or the staff member, I should specify. We have made the policy very clear that it's applicable to students or staff. There is, as I was saying, a request for the service animal to accompany a student or staff in school facilities form. It's a fairly lengthy form in which the student, in which the student or staff would provide information to the school in terms of the student's medical disability, in terms of a doctor signing off on the need for a service animal to address that disability. And we're looking for several major pieces of information. Number 1, what work is the dog trained to do? So what are the tasks that the dog is trained to do? What is the disability that the dog is trained to mitigate? We're also looking for reassurances that the dog has been vaccinated, that has a special orange collar and lead and a vest indicating that they are a service dog. We are looking for information in terms of the dog's training. I will note that a formal training program is not required according to the Americans with Disabilities Act, but we do require that the student and guardian attest that the dog has participated in some level of training. We also want to be assured that the animal is housebroken and that the animal is able to relieve himself or herself on a schedule, and is not going to startle or bark or disrupt a classroom. So we worked quite a bit of our time in committee on the form, making sure that it provides us with the information that we need to feel comfortable having a live animal in the classroom.
I have a question. Are these animals on a leash the whole time?
They are. They're on a leash and a lead, and only the student would handle the animal. Okay. The animal is to be within 25 feet of the student at all times.
I know that there are quite a few people that are highly allergic to cats and dogs, and even if the dog had been in the classroom and left, and that person sat in that seat or near there, what would, that's more than just changing the classroom. If you're in the same classroom, I mean, these dogs, in the hallways and bathrooms, and so how would this be addressed? you know, for people that are really allergic to animals?
Well, I can say that at this point, we've had no one come forward to say that they have an allergy, so we have not had to cross that bridge at the high school to date. The only thing I can say is if we did, we would look to make alternative plans. Schedule changes, classroom assignments, teacher changes, different peers in the classroom. We would have to get creative to address that, but we
Right.
certainly would address it.
I mean, do they come into the lunchroom?
They do. They sit under the cafeteria table.
Okay.
Gretchen? I've spent a great deal of my life training dogs, and not all trained dogs are the same in different groups. Like, I would feel far more comfortable if we saw the dog, knew, I don't care if the dog's on a leash. If it's under verbal control, it's far safer for everybody. Like, that student should be able to go, come, and the dog should be right under their heels. And I'm very concerned that we're not requiring some form of assurance that the dog is trained.
Actually, it is. If you look on page 912. No, I'm sorry, it's beyond that. There it is. 10 of 12. If you look under guidelines.
So again, the state law requires minimum standards for a service animal in public. We've made this form a hyperlink. We also have printed out the documents from the websites in terms of Assistance Dogs International. So we have additional information available for parents if they would like it. Our challenge was to create a policy that met our needs, but that was still in compliance with the ADA. So the ADA does not require a service animal to have a certificate of training. They do require a certain level of training, and we've referenced that in the minimum standards for a service animal in public in terms of training requirements.
We'll see how it goes. I want to see the horse.
Yeah.
I have another question, sorry, real quick. How does this affect things like Peacock coming in with their little birds and all their cute little critters they come in and do?
It doesn't. Those are not service animals.
Okay, I just didn't know how that.
I had the same
animals-
question.
Right. Nope.
Just checking.
No, we have to make a distinction between comfort animals versus service animals, and this is strictly service animals.
I guess I didn't. Will there be a policy for comfort animals?
They can bring a stuffed animal.
The policy does include that comfort animals, it makes a distinction that, that there's still an avenue for people, for adults to bring comfort animals into schools, to meet with students, to read with students in the library. The policy does distinguish between, you know, a comfort animal that may come into the building and provide comfort to students in a setting such as like bibliotherapy.
Okay, I thought I saw some.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the first
A lot of good
reading
work. Thank you.
of the policy P 6163-32, service animals and regulation for policy, and this is the first reading. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? The policy is.
Thank you.
All right. Rita, would you be willing to read the motion for number 3, please?
Yes. To approve as a first reading, to approve the proposed administrative organization for the new middle school of 1 principal and 3 assistant principals.
Can I have a second?
Second.
And discussion? So this is the conversation that we had at the committee of the whole, looking at sort of the best sort of administrative setup for Groton, at least to start off that with. Any further comments about that?
I guess
Yeah, please.
I just want to vigorously lend my support to this for a lot of reasons, for just the general business of evaluating staff and that sort of thing, but also for the humanitarian aspect of bringing together so many new people, children and staff, and I just can't advocate for this any more strongly.
Any other? Rosemary?
I too would like to support it. It makes a great deal of sense to use faculty or administrators this way, and it really gives a sense of continuity to the students.
Having worked in middle schools forevermore, amen. I highly recommend this. It makes all the difference in the world. The kids are not big little kids, you know, they're not big elementary kids. They're going through lots of changes. There are lots of fun to be with. But they need that continuity and of support as they go along.
So Jane, I think what you're referring to is the fact that the proposal that we had talked about is that the principal and the guidance counselor will actually follow the students. So it's going to be a, I don't know what the word is, but you know what I mean. Thank you, looping.
So anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the proposed administrative organization for the new middle school of 1 principal and 3 assistant principals, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? With 1 abstention? The motion has carried. Katrina, would you be willing to read number 5 motion?
I think it's 4.
Or actually, we could go to 4.
Okay.
And then do 5.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve piloting the revised standards-based elementary report card beginning with the first marking period of the 2019-2020 school year.
And we did, can I have a second?
Second.
I got to it before you did, Ms. Jones. It's the small things in life that make me happy.
So we did, Susan did report out about the piloting of the report card, and we received the letter. Do we have any further discussion? Rita?
Yes, I had felt that this is somewhat rushed and didn't go through the proper channels. In the past, when report cards have been presented, they were first presented to the Curriculum Committee of the Board of Education. I had asked Dr. Grenier's secretary to send me that part of our policy. I couldn't find exactly where it was. No one's got back to me. I did write a message to Dr. Grenier and asked if for a little further information expressing my concern that it was too soon to release this to the parents and the students of the Groton Public Schools without first having the board. I mean, this is the first time I've seen this was tonight. We didn't get it this week. We had asked for it. We had a committee of the whole meeting last week. So I have my reservations. It's not that much different, but it's very confusing. And I think that all digitalized, not everybody in Groton can access a computer. And yes, this can be printed out, but I think there's going to be a lag. I just don't understand it. Is this ever signed? I mean, there was lots of questions I had, but we just saw it tonight. So I wouldn't not be voting for this until we have more time to look at this and understand it. And I think that going to the boards of education, I mean, to the PTOs is a wonderful idea, but that should be done not 2 weeks before this is going to be issued, but months before. This rollout was too soon. I think if it's difficult for us, I can imagine it's probably going to be fairly overwhelming for the students, the teachers also.
I did a little history checking.
Yeah.
And
no one ever got back to me about my questions.
I looked back to the 2012 when it was first published, the standards-based report card. So this was a revision, it wasn't a new card. It's been in existence for 12 years. And one of the things that was noted, even in my letter, it was very similar to what the original letter was. I had written my letter and I looked back at the letter that was written, and it was really almost, you know, it was very similar, except this was a revision. And the intent back then was to have it digitalized. They said this will be an online report card, which I thought was kind of interesting. I know that middle school, we've made, in the past 3-4 years, we've made that go digital, and the high school as well. So this is really following the progression so that all report cards will be digitalized. Parents are using PowerSchool. I get a lot of very positive feedback about the use of PowerSchool as a communication tool for parents, understanding what their children's work is and how their grades are. And for elementary, we're just using it for attendance and report cards at this point, but in the future, we can open that up too so that it can be a really terrific communication tool. So because it was a revision, and it really marched along with our work in curriculum and instruction and assessment, and the final phase is really the reporting, and the teachers were really asking for something that really went along with what they were doing. So in fine-tuning that language, it really states, if a kindergartner needs to be, or a first grader needs to be able to add and subtract within 20 and get fluent with his tens, it actually says that. So we really tried to fine-tune the language and make it really pretty specific. So I think it's going to give parents more insight, not less.
And are these, how do you know whether or not a parent has received the report card? Are they ever signed, or is there some way for the teacher to know that a parent really saw the report card or the guardian?
Well, they're going to be sent home the first time. We're going to be doing a robocall. We're going to be asking parents to go online at the same time, and then that becomes the parent's responsibility. I have to say that in the normal process of a timeline, you have, a conference first, and then you have the report card. But in the spring, you'll have your report card and then the conference. So there will be some explanation that will come for parents when they meet with the classroom teacher. So
I had a question for Zay. Turn to the expert on this one. So when the report cards come out in the high school, how do the parents get access, and how do we know that they do have it?
Well, okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there it is. So we have been more digitalized.
Yeah.
Yes. We have been more digitalized. I have learned that a lot of parents actually do use PowerSchool. They download the app on their phone and they log into the parent PowerSchool and they look at it through there. And on PowerSchool, you guys may know this, I'm not quite sure, but they do it quarterly and semesterly and yearly. Like on the class thing that we can see, that's how we view it. So say somebody doesn't get their report card, do we mail report cards home still? No, okay, that's what I thought.
not in middle school, high school.
Yeah, okay, that's what, yeah. But yeah, so it will say like Q1, that's our report card.
Yep.
And we can see that too. I don't know what the parents can see, but I have heard that it works. It's very effective.
Well, certainly they have their own access, compared to the old days when students tried to get to the mailbox first.
Well, I remember when PowerSchool, the parents still have to sign whether or not they want to look over the child's shoulder. I chose not to. I felt that was my responsibility. Well, that's when report cards came home and so forth and so on. But I didn't want to see every homework assignment and so forth. I just felt that was my child's responsibility. But this is different because the middle school and high school uses grades still. These are numbers. It's confusing, 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, and it's a little bit different.
It's the same system they've always had.
Yeah, it's the same system.
It's not different to the parents.
Yes, I know that. I just want to know how, can I ask Beth, if in your kindergarten class, do you know if every parent, do they sign the report card ever, or let you know that they've received it?
Currently, they do, because we send them home in an envelope that we reuse 3 times and they have to sign it.
Yep.
Some parents never return the envelope, so we have to do a new envelope. Sometimes it takes a phone call home if they, all of a sudden a parent has a question
Tony.
Sorry, yeah. I was gonna say, was that your back?
That's my back. Currently, we send home an envelope with the report card in it, and the parents have to sign and return the envelope. Sometimes they do not get returned, and we end up sending a new envelope for the second term. And then if you see them in March, you like, did you get the other report cards? With the new one, I don't know how that's going to look online. I don't know if it's going to pop up that the parent has seen it or not. That's a question that would probably be better for the IT side of the house. If there's a box that they can check off that they've seen it. But this first one is to be printed and sent home in the envelope with this parent signature returning,
Okay,
just for this first one.
but what about second and term?
I'll
Well,
check with IT to see if there's a box.
These are good reasons to have a pilot and
That's
to
why,
come back.
right, once again, this is a pilot.
So
They're
we can
piloting.
figure out, that's a good question.
Yeah.
How do we verify, is there a little box that, when someone signs up for it, and they open it, it comes back to us?
If it's open, is it red? I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
And the other one, I mean, some of this is, it's fairly complicated language, like exhibits responsible personal and social behaviors in elementary music, demonstrates I mean, there are.
That's no change.
No, I
There
know,
were some
but there
that
are
never
going to be.
changed, so that's always been there.
But there's
Right.
going to be people that are going to have heart, and I don't, do we have this in another language? Is this also in Spanish?
It can be put into Spanish, yes. With Power School, you can do translation.
Because I think that's very important.
one of the things that Ms. Austin and I have spoken about is making some of the standards, because they're written in the Common Core state standards language, such as attends with precision. My favorite is the critiques other students' thinking
Right.
in kindergarten. One of the things that Ms. Austin and I have talked about is making that a little more parent-friendly, or maybe an I can statements, so that it's more understandable, because we get it because we're teachers and it's EduSpeak, and we have to, and we've talked about this, you know, thinking of our audience, and the audience of this report card is the parent. And that was a discussion that we've started, and will continue as we get ready for term 2 and term 3. We might have to do some tweaking of languages for next year for the standards.
Okay.
Gretchen?
I think this is sort of a two-part question. Legally, how long do we have to hold students' records?
50 years.
50 years? In 20 years, say 30 years, we went from WordStar to Word. I guarantee you, Word can't read WordStar. I'm sure whatever we've got now can't read Sassy. If our technology can't open what we're storing digitally, I'm not trying to create a problem, I'm really not.
No.
It's something to keep in mind, like if we do this all digitally, will we have the capacity in 20, 30, 50 years to open it?
I guess that's a great question that we could pass to IT to
Yeah.
have us kind of take a look
Well,
at it.
that's
Because
kinda
I
what we
don't think
do.
it's worth us kind of a conversation unless someone here thinks that they are technologically
I don't know the answer.
advanced. Okay, all right. Any other question? You said it was a
That was it.
two-part. Okay, thank you. Andrea?
I just want to speak to the whole idea of what Rita brought up. And no one is questioning the intent behind the work that was done on this, or the expertise and the level of knowledge of kids that went into the thinking behind this. But to Rita's point, I think the real issue is the erosion of policy, of procedure, and setting a precedent. That's the concern. And I think that we have to be extremely cautious of staying in line with process and with policy and precedent. This can get away from us.
Really, which is why I
Yes.
moved it to a pilot.
I
because
understand that,
Because
but
I was very concerned about the fact that it had not followed a normal channel, and, but it's already down the road and couldn't
No,
kind
and
of
I'm not questioning
couldn't call it
that.
back.
Yes,
So
and
that's why I
think-
wanted to have a pilot, because it puts us back on the burner for having a discussion, and maybe what it should do is it should go to curriculum
Yes.
for you guys to look at.
Yeah, and I appreciate that it
could
was
be
a
called
pilot.
Oh, it's going to be called.
No, I mean, it could have been called back because we haven't even approved it yet.
No, well, my understanding from what I got from the committee of the whole, Rita, was for them, for us to kind of stop what's going on right now. The train has left that station. And so to stop that within a couple of weeks of when it's supposed to go out feels like we're not, that we're creating much more of a havoc. But to put on notice that this is a pilot and that we need to, a more diligent work needs to have happened for the board, I think is important.
Well, I don't believe that I felt that way at all when it was introduced to us the other day. I mean, we didn't even have a copy to look
Rita,
at our committee of the whole meeting.
I hear you, and I agree with you.
So whether you call it a pilot or not, we still could have said, let's postpone this till we spend a little more time on it as a board. We introduced it in 2012, actually, we waited till March because it really wasn't quite ready to be brought out in December. So we waited till March, actually, that first year, in 2012.
Jane?
What I'm hearing Susan say is there's no real change here. I don't understand, I really don't understand why this is becoming a big issue. I just don't. Other districts have done this, and I don't think it's anything really unique. It's a good job. And it's current in its thinking. Parents are familiar with it. I believe teachers have not raised any concerns.
I disagree. I have heard from teachers, and yes, they do have concerns.
Is this a small group, or is this?
I think there was a small group that worked on this that understand it,
Is it a
but to the
small group of
larger.
teachers who are concerned and
I have no idea whether or not it's
Okay, so,
for that.
Andrea?
Again, I don't think that that's the issue. The issue is that this is an erosion of policy, and we need to either have a referral on how we're going to address future, just to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
All right, so we can do that.
Yeah.
We can do a referral onto that. But it also sounds to me that this is not, I don't disagree with you about that we need to sort of, we need to have protocol.
Yeah.
But my concern is that this is sort of, that's why I wanted to put a little bit of a break on that so that we can do pilot, so that we can get it back on track for doing that.
I liked your solution.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor to approve the piloting the revised standard-based elementary report card beginning with the first marking period of the 2019-20 school year, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
I'm
Abstain?
opposed.
So Katrina and Gretchen have abstained. Do we have it? 1, 2,
Do
You said no. 1,
3,
2,
4, 5.
3,
I voted for it.
Good.
5. It passes.
It passes.
Wasn't there something about a majority of, like, when it passed, it was like 5 to 2 to 1? Isn't there something that we have about that?
I don't think so.
No.
If some boards, there has to be 5 affirmative votes.
Yes.
So
We
that
had
if it
5.
passed 4 to 1, there would not
Okay.
be 5 I think that's what you're referring
Yeah.
to. But there were 5 votes. There was a quorum.
All right, so we're gonna move on? Yep. So number 6 is been tabled.
Wait, we didn't do 5.
Did I
We need to do number 5.
I'm just wanting to get ahead of
Yeah,
myself.
And get out.
We appreciate that.
All right, thank you. So Gretchen, would you please be willing to read the motion for number 5 that I seem to not want to talk about?
Why not? To approve the proposed FY '21 CIP request for video surveillance systems for Fitch High School, Northeast Academy, Catherine Koldowski, and Charles Barnum.
Can I have a second?
Second.
So this is a CIP that grew out of a conversation with police chief and the town manager, but the board had already voted on their CIP, and the suggestion was made when Sam and I were talking with them, that this would be something that they would be willing to look at. And I said, well, if the board is willing to approve it, would you still consider it? And they said yes.
And we did have this discussion of the committee of the whole. So once again, it's gonna look like we're not having a huge conversation, but we did have a conversation about that.
So it includes video surveillance the purchasing of cameras and an internet hookup to the police station, which is already planned for the middle school, the new middle school. That's how this started. But then it would go to the other schools, and of course, it will be planned for the 2 elementary schools.
All right.
Could Dr. Grenier, could you tell us why this was brought forward by the town manager?
Well, the conversation started with how exactly are we going to do the video surveillance for the middle school? And in the process of talking about the middle school, which was the only thing really on the agenda that day, somebody said, well, wouldn't it make sense to have video surveillance of the high school? And everyone agreed that that would make sense. And then they then, of course, said, well, what about the other schools? Once we realized, once our tech people told us it could be a cloud-based system, internet-based system, then we included the other schools as well.
And I have a question about the privacy. I know all the students, they have to go and bring, a paper home and have it signed, but what about those that their parents don't want to have their pictures?
Well, this is not pictures.
Well, surveillance in the hallways.
Right. Well, it's not something that is published in terms of.
It's not published at all, but
right.
there are people looking at
Yeah.
it, and
it's already occurring at Westside Middle School.
Right,
this is a mimic
how
system.
quickly then is it the police are going to respond quick? Usually, when anything happens, it's a couple of minutes.
So this would provide police video surveillance of the hallways in the event of a crisis. That's what this is really all about.
So you know if people were in refuge or?
That's right. Or if there was an intruder, God forbid.
I guess unfortunately, we are at that time frame of our world where we have to have that.
Yep. Yeah.
Any other conversation about this? Rosemary?
I'm not sure if we will have the technology, but if parents do not want their children's faces, can we pixelate things if we ever have to send it out? I assume we in an emergency,
let's say there was an incident, yeah.
And that's a new word for me.
I was going to say, I'm impressed.
We do have the ability to, it's a little bit tricky, I don't want to make it sound like it's easy, but
To me, it's all
if there was
magic.
an image, right. If there was an image of some incident that happened in the hallway and we wanted to only focus on, say, the perpetrator and have everybody else's faces pixelated, we could do that.
Someone will know how to do it.
I think we also have to be careful about having a conversation about the security on
That's true.
camera.
That's
So
true.
if it's, do you have a question? But I do want us to be clear about that.
Just about everywhere else we go, the bank,
Right.
Walmart, CVS, just down the street.
Yep.
Wherever you're going, there's closed caption television.
You're correct.
And it is worldwide, it's everywhere. People cannot expect the level of privacy we had in 1950. We expect the police to be able to go and look at these closed caption. And I'm sorry, I hate it, but that's the way it is.
Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you, those are my summary. All right, hearing nothing else for discussion? All those in favor to approve the proposed fiscal year 21 CIP project for video surveillance systems for Fitch High School, Northeast Academy, Catherine Kalnowski, and Charles Barnum, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion has carried. Our last two agenda items are 7 and 8, and that is going to be held in an executive session because it's going to be going over the contracts that were. 6 is, we have been tabled. I know I've been rushing it, but I actually knew what I was doing, Gretchen.
I'm sorry, I missed
That's
that.
fine, that's fine. All right, so what I'm going to propose as what we typically do is that we go to our communications, advanced planning, and suggested agenda items, and then we allow the people who are not going to be part of the executive session to move forward. So, Katrina, for letters or communications? All right.
No.
Gretchen? Do you have any letters or
That was a
communications?
no. I'm
Okay, sorry.
Didn't shake my head hard
Jane,
enough.
that's okay.
No.
Andrea? Rosemary?
Is this just for communications or anything?
Letters of communication?
I attended the Veterans Day thing. I was honored to bring my cousin who's a vet, and he was very impressed. Thought the band was tremendous. I also attended CABE, and then after CABE, I went to the Westside Middle School trivia night and was only going to stay a minute, but I won a whole lot of stuff. So I was very happy, and it turns out I know a lot of very small things.
I went to Cape, which I thought was wonderful this year, and thank you for the school board for allowing me to go. I also went to the Veterans Assembly at Westside, and I went to Conn College for a discussion on race when the head of the Supreme Court of the state of Connecticut, Karen Florum, actually spoke with the Supreme. It was incredible, and it was a packed house. It was just absolutely terrific. So that's what I've been doing.
That's great. Rita? No real, except from the teachers, some teachers, and doing a lot of things at Learn.
I know they've been keeping you pretty busy.
Very busy.
I have received, as it was noted from Portia, which, once again, I will make sure that you guys receive that. And also, just as I talked about in the committee of the whole, about the robotics program and the resolution that has happened with that. So those were, and I also, like other people, was able to attend the football game, but also the marching band, and also I attended the tag sale, or the craft sale that was at Fitch High School.
Oh, I went to that too.
Oh, didn't
It
see
was
you.
amazing. There was nothing
Yeah.
I really needed.
Yeah, no, it was good. So, just to look, we are, just to remind people that we do have a special board meeting that will be on the 9th, which will be to usher in the new board and also leadership. And also that we'll have the vote on the elementary school specs, so that they can go back and they can produce it. And just to remind people that the liaison meeting with the town council and the RTM has been postponed until the first of the year to kind of have a reorganization about what that should look like, or keep the same. I think that looks like it's it. I do have the things about the items. Will obviously be, I think I'm going to refer the report cards back to the curriculum so that you guys can have a look at that. That sounds like that would make sense. And Rita, I think you also had another one, the referral about the fees for students for that.
For sports.
Right. Also, also for the other communication, along with the racial and diversity, I've been attending a lot of, it's called the tenets of working with young children and families around racial bias and diversity and stuff like that. So I have also been trying to immerse myself into that as well. So.
I just had one bookend, if you don't mind.
Please, bookend.
The meeting started with a comment, and I want to end that I have never known a better advocate for students than Katrina. You have done a phenomenal job over the last 6 years.
Yeah.
For the students, for the board as an entity, if I may use that word, with your permission. But you have been a force with the budget, with students, and of course, with the Sandy Hook Promise. All of that, you've had an enormous impact on this board. So on behalf of the kids, at least, I want to thank you. You've done a great job.
Thank you. And spearheading bringing the Grace Project to our district as well. That's been really cool. All right. Well, we can, okay, so, okay, all right, we're going to go for an adjournment to the executive session, and I'm going to ask, I'm going to ask that the superintendent join us. Do you need?
Ken and Susan would be helpful.
Ken and Susan to join us for the executive session.
Not Zay.
And it's been moved. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion has carried.
The cupcakes are for Katrina.